In this video, I'm discussing everything that you need to know about recruiting contracts in 2022, as well as my top 3 must-haves for your contracts this year. So be sure to stay tuned because number 2 may surprise you. Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Natasha, the business recruiter. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm jumping right into this video and I am not sugarcoating anything. Your contract is the most important document that you need to have in order to solidify relationships with new clients. When it comes to recruiting contracts, there are 4 main parts that should be contained in your contract: your fee, your guarantee, your net payment terms, and your engagement terms. Your fee, which is usually a percentage, is what you are paid for placing a candidate with that particular company. Your fee, which is usually a percentage, is what you are paid for each placement you make with that company. Let's say that you filled a $50,000 role and your fee was 10%. You would get paid $5,000. Keep in mind that fees are going to vary, so 10% is the lowest you should be at, and I've seen fees go up as high as 30%. Next is going to be your guarantee. Now, your guarantee is essentially stating how long that candidate that you place is actually going to stay with that client. If the candidate leaves prior to the guarantee period being over, it's going to be your responsibility to replace that candidate for the client. Or you could give a refund, but I do not recommend that you do that. It's also important to note that your guarantee period is going to vary as well. For more entry-level roles, 30 days is typically standard, but for more technical or niche roles, I've seen guarantees go as high as 90 days, if not longer. So here's a bonus tip for you when it comes to guarantees. Make sure you adjust your guarantee to the external market as needed, meaning right now in 2022, the external market is hot. It's not guaranteed that a candidate will stay on for a longer period of time, so you want your guarantee period to reflect that appropriately. Now, if you're just starting out and found this information to be helpful so far, then my contract template will be a great resource for you. Look below in the description box for the link to download this free resource. Now, next we have your net payment terms, and this spells out how you're going to get paid. Let's take net 30 for example. This is stating from the date of your invoice, your client has 30 days to pay the full invoice amount. And as a quick golden nugget for you, I typically send out the invoice on the first day that the candidate starts with the client. Now, last is going to be the engagement terms. And this has to do with how you and the client engage or interact with potential candidates that could fill the role. Meaning, if you and the client both reach out to a candidate, let's say to set up an interview, the entity that reached out first has rights to that candidate. Now, this is extremely important because it happens more often than you think. Your client may have an internal recruiting department that's also working on filling that role simultaneously. So with that being stated, it is possible that you and your client could potentially be reaching out to the same people. However, the biggest difference here is that if you reach out first, then you have the potential to get paid if that candidate is placed. If your client reaches out first, then you have no rights to that candidate, and therefore that means that you have no right to get paid if that candidate is placed. Now, this is also important because let's say that you have a candidate that you reached out to and for whatever reason the client decided that at that time they did not want to move forward with that particular candidate. You want to be sure that your contract states that you have rights to that candidate for a certain period of time. So if your client decides that they want to hire them for a different role down the line, you still get paid. Now, before I go to my 3 must-haves for 2022, be sure to hit that subscribe button below as well as that bell so that you can get notified of all of my new videos that drop each week. Now, for my 3 must-haves in your contract for 2022. Number 1 is going to be information about late fees. Believe me, it is very common in the recruiting industry for you to not get paid on time. So you want to be sure that you have late fees in your contract so that you can get compensated for the inconvenience. Now, number 2, which actually may surprise you, is to tie your late fees back to your guarantee. Let's say that you have a client who did not abide by your net payment terms. Well, as we just stated, we want to make sure that you're compensated for the inconvenience in the form of late fees, but you also want to be sure that you are not responsible for replacing that candidate for that client when they could not even respect the details of your contract. So you can put information in your contract that makes the guarantee period void if they pay late. And finally, number 3 is to make sure that you have a signed contract in place before you start any work for a client. And the truth is, technically, they're really not your client until you have that signed contract in place. I know that when you're first starting out, you're eager and you want to jump right in. Ultimately, you want to make sure that you get paid for the work that you do. This just ensures that you have a legal document in case something happens. So if you have stayed with me till this point in the video, then be sure to go down below in the comments and comment contract. That way I know that you'll be leveraging the information that was talked about today. And if you're interested in learning more about recruiting, then be sure to join my Facebook group. I'll be sure to leave that link down below in the description box. We are in there talking all things recruiting. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.